Hello, hello, all those beautiful faces. How we doing? How we doing? Stephanie checking in with another episode of Class Disruption, disrupting the status quo of education. And before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button, hit the subscribe bell, that little red one down there, and also the bell so you can get notified every week when I put out my video. And of course, the most important thing you can do is share this video with other educators, especially during this crazy and hectic time with all the distance learning, the electronics, staring at screens all day. Teachers need that uplift. They need to know that we're there for each other, that teacher love. And I have a teacher that is full of love today, the Goalden Educator, Dominique White. And the way that I found her was through Instagram way back at the beginning of this school year, and I found she had these awesome shirts. You go, girl. And just with the black and the bright yellow popping out, just my style. I rock it all the time. And so you could check those out. She has them up on Etsy, and the best part about it, so reasonable, $12.99. So make sure you're out here supporting teachers, supporting small businesses, and get ready for an amazing conversation. Like I said, just full of love and joy and passion. And that's what we need right now. So let's get into it.
Dominique, aka the Golden Girl. You go, girl. The Goalden Educator. How we doing?
I'm good. Just trying to stay inside. Take it easy.
I know things are definitely a little bit crazy right now. I am a little bit like my anxiety's super high. You know, districts across the country are closing, but out here in New York City, they're still saying we're open. So,
right.
I definitely want to do my part, but at the same time, like I don't feel like my school is a very clean place. So, or like They haven't given us like protective gear and things like that. So.
Well, hopefully they'll take all that into consideration soon.
Yes, right. All right. So, let's get our minds off that and get our minds onto some goals, right? So, tell us, for people who don't know about you, tell us about who you are, what you do.
Okay. So, hey everybody. My name is Dominique White, and on Instagram, I go by Goalden Educator, and that's Goalden Educator. And I'm 28 years old. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, and I currently teach in Atlanta, Georgia also. Right now, I'm on my 4th year of teaching, my 6th year in education. I worked as a paraprofessional for 2 years, and I also taught kindergarten, and now I teach 1st grade. So that's exciting. I love it. So, growing up, education was always important in my household. My mom worked for Scholastic's Education and Scholastic's book fairs, and she still does. And so even during the summer, there were always books, notebooks, notepads, pencils, anything education, you name it. And, I thought I was getting the summer off, but my mom had other plans. So she will always make sure every day that we had reading time or writing time or something like that. So that's how I got into education, or that's how my passion for education developed, I believe. And I attended Savannah State University for my undergraduate degree, and that was in mass communications. And during my junior year, I actually started volunteering for the Boys and Girls Club. And I absolutely loved it. And so I thought about it. I was like, how about I just switch my major to education? And my mom convinced me not to, because I was in my junior year and I was almost done. So I ended up finishing at Savannah State with a degree in mass communications.
But come on, that's kind of what we do. We communicate to the masses.
We do. I just use that every day. The job teacher is so many hats. So I just infused that in there. So after I graduated, I tried to find a job in media, and I struggled. It was difficult. And something told me to apply for a job as a parapro. And I did. And just like that, I got a job. And it was I loved being a paraprofessional. I loved it. And so eventually I decided that I wanted to have my own classroom. And I attended Mercer, and during my first year at Mercer, I was still a paraprofessional. And after that first year, during my second year, I applied for a teaching position and I got the job. So my second year of my master's degree program, I was teaching for my first year, and I was also doing EdTPA.
Oh yeah.
EdTPA.
Fun times, fun times. We're on like the same trajectory because we're both 4 years in. So we did it. We must have done it at the same time.
Probably. Yeah, I think I finished in 2018. So around that time. And so I remember my first year, it was just awful. Oh my goodness. I would go home crying every day. But every day I came back and I tried something new.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't for my teammates, I would not have made it, because I went in with I'm the teacher. You need to do everything I say because I'm the teacher. I went in with that mindset, and that did not work. Those kindergartners ate me alive. So, so during my first year, I finished my TPA, and like I said before, now I'm in my fourth year, and I'm the 2019-2020 Teacher of the Year.
Hey, okay. So yeah, and that's just an amazing story because I mean, I don't. Can I say hello? You can come say hello. Come on. That's an amazing story because I don't think teaching ever like gets easy. You know, there's always challenges, but it just goes to show that especially those first years, the curve is super steep. So that's just. I'm definitely going to share that story and put that out there for all those new teachers that are going through it. I have a student teacher right now, and he's doing the college classes, student teaching, and he has a daughter. So it can be a struggle.
Wow. Yeah,
we are, you got to tough it out, because if you can't tough it out, then the kids are going to eat you alive. But once you find that spot, then you just hitting them goals, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Which brings us to your whole Goalden education. Like, what's the mission? What's the meaning behind Goalden Educator? And what is your whole Goalden educational services about?
So when I started my Instagram, I thought about my goals and everything. And I thought back to when I graduated from Savannah State, and I was having a hard time finding a job. And by God's grace, I ended up in education. And so that just led me to being Goalden. And so I think being Goalden is being driven by your purpose and believing in yourself, believing that you can accomplish any goal that you set for yourself, and encouraging others that they can do the same.
And that's so important in education, because it's not like a lot of jobs where you get that instant gratification. You do the work and you see the results. It's like you do the work, you do more work, you do some more work. Maybe you see some results, but probably you no, that didn't work. Right. So we got to keep setting those goals, and we got to be there for each other.
Yes, you definitely need a support team, people around you that can uplift you, because every day is not going to be golden or perfect or pretty. So you have to just have people around you that can uplift you when you can't really do it for yourself. So
exactly. And so we had touched on this a little bit before, because you said when you came in, you were like, you're gonna do this, and I'm the teacher, you're the student. But you found your groove, and now that's actually like one of your areas of specialty is like behavior management, which I don't know, I think it's kind of a funny phrase itself, right? Because is that what we're doing? Are we managing behaviors so we can get through the lesson, or are we like creating lessons that are designed around embracing those behaviors, which again, that's very similar to class disruption. So I would just love to know how do you approach that in your classroom, and what have you found so much success in?
So to me, behavior management is all about engagement. So Rita Pearson said it best, kids don't learn from people that they don't like. So if I come in with a bad attitude, or if I come in with that mindset that I mentioned earlier, I'm the teacher and you're going to do what I say, that's not going to work. Kids don't learn from people that they don't like. So I believe that behavior management, or I prefer classroom management, that's pretty much having those routines and rituals in place during that first week. If you don't have that during the first week, it's going to be the first couple of weeks, it's going to be very hard for you to get those lessons in and even create engaging lessons for your students. So routines and rituals are important, but I also believe that having a culturally responsive classroom is important. Because students are not your students, and my students is not like the other students in my class. So I have to be aware of what are my students' interests? What do they like? What are their backgrounds? I have to create lessons that are actually going to be engaging for them to minimize those classroom disruptions. So what is, to me, a classroom disruption? Like, what is the reason? You have to identify what is the reason for the disruption. Because to me, a classroom disruption is something that is preventing the other students from learning. So I take the time to identify what is the root of that disruption. Are you hungry? Are you sleepy? Do you need a hug? Because our students go through a lot of things that we wouldn't even consider. Did you see your parents fighting last night? Like, what is it? And so to those educators that actually take the time to identify the root of the disruption, those educators deserve some applause, because everybody's not doing that. And I think that's a necessary step to manage your classroom or limit those classroom disruptions. And we've seen it that all students can learn. So we've seen it with Ron Clark, Marva Collins, Rita Pearson, all of those greats, that it just takes the consistency and the time to identify what's the root of the problem or what's causing those disruptions.
All right, so do you have like a story that you want to share with us? Like one of those kids who was giving you a hard time, and just like, what are those specific actions and tactics, and how did you really like bring that kid in and show him love or her love?
So actually this year I have a student who, just from seeing him, because I teach first grade, just from seeing him in kindergarten, I saw how he behaved and things like that. So when he came to my class this year, I remember talking to him one day and he was like, well, I'm just a bad kid. And you are not what does that mean? You are not a bad kid. What do you do that's bad? Who's told you that you're a bad kid? My teachers, my parents, people that have told him that he's being bad. And so I just took the time to talk to him and tell him that, you're a good student. You can do it when you want to. And so pretty much the main thing for me is building a relationship and just asking him, what did you do over the weekend? What's your favorite color? Like, tell me, what's your favorite story? Just talking to them. That is the main thing that I use. And, they make me laugh. I make them laugh. Every day I'm not having a good day. So, we feed off of each other. And I think that is the most important thing to me, is building those relationships. And that's how I keep my classroom flows the way it does, in addition to my routines and rituals.
And I love that whole like routines and rituals. I always think about routines, and to me it seems like so like this, but a ritual, it seems so like wholesome, like it's an experience rather than something that's so like strict and you have to do it exactly this way. Right. So I really like that terminology, rituals. And so how do you manage all those things? I mean, like we have pretty strict academic expectations. I mean, even at the first grade level, oftentimes. So how do you really find that time and that space within all those overwhelming expectations placed on teachers to do both that relationship aspect and all those other teaching responsibilities?
So throughout the day, when I come in, I begin my day, I sit at my desk, and our day starts at 7:00. I get to work at 7. My students get to school at 7. So there's not much time for me to sit down. But I try to make a list of things that I need to do each day, because if I just think about stuff, I'll get overwhelmed. And throughout the day, I'm trying to do it while I'm trying to do small group, while I'm trying to teach the lesson. And so I just have to make a list. That really helps me. And crossing those things off that list is so satisfying to me. So that really helps. And so I just try to, during lunch, like we don't have to eat with our kids, but sometimes I do eat with them. Or
Nice.
during specials, like if I have a student that is acting disruptive, I'll take some time to talk with them during specials. Or even while the other students are doing their whole group activity, just taking time to, even if it's 1 minute, 2 minutes, those those minutes add up and it counts to those students, because they might have 10 siblings at home and they don't get any attention at home. So all they want is a little attention.
Mm-hmm.
But those little things add up. So in addition to trying to give my students the attention that they need, all the paperwork and stuff, like I said, I just try to make a list and just cross them off. And I'm only one person. I try to do what I can do. And if after a certain time, at the end of the day, around 5:30, I have to leave and go home.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of teachers, you know, we have a lot on our shoulders. We have a lot on our plate. And we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves, because staying at work every day until 6:30, until the building closed, I can't do it. I love my students. I love my job, but I have to also take care of myself and my responsibilities outside of work. So I think finding a balance between the two is helpful. And my mentor actually gave me some advice, and I incorporate morning meetings in my day at the beginning of the day with my students. I try to do it once a week, like on Fridays or something. And so we just talk about what are your plans for the weekend, or how was your week? You know, we just talk about little things, and that helps with the relationship aspect too. For my
Yeah, I find that too. Like when you create those spaces, I sometimes do that instead of like a warm up that's like multiple choice or something that's academic. I'll just be like, write in your journal, or, you know, draw a picture and just have a conversation with them, because it takes that level of intensity to just weigh down. And then they're just like, afterwards they're like, okay, are we gonna do work now? And I'm like, yeah, like let's get to work, you know.
We have to remember that they are children, and the expectation for them, to me, it's, if I'm overwhelmed, I know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, let's just take I have to, just like that, it's a balance. We've got to remind ourselves, you know? And I think that's too where teacher experience comes in, because I can kind of like have that plan, like have some decent materials, and then just get in there and do my teacher thing. And I don't think we get enough credit for that. And then we need to have lesson plans, and it needs to be replicatable by another person who comes in. It's like, really? Like, but I'm an expert. Nobody should just be able to come here and do this.
That I'm an expert. I'm a professional. I have degrees. Like, I know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
Micromanaged. I just would love for teachers to be treated more like professionals instead of having to be micromanaged. And you need to do this and that. And I'm the one who knows my students, and I know what the differentiation will look like for them, and I know what they need. But we have people in higher places making decisions, and they don't know anything about my students and how it would affect them. So.
And I'm sure they're well-intentioned, you know what I mean? And that's not to say, like, I very much value feedback. I just think that sometimes the way, like the top-down way that it's done is counterproductive.
Right.
And often things that they're measuring are not the things that we know are actually effective for having them reach success. Exactly. So on that topic, while we're, you know, holding hands and jumping off the cliff here into our fantasy land, like if you were in charge, like how would you structure the schools more effectively to support our teachers and in turn provide that higher level of education we're talking about to our students?
I think that coaches are essential for helping teachers provide that effective education that we're looking for. Teachers need support. and I feel like coaches can provide that support, whether it be you need assistance creating effective lessons, you need a help finding engaging activities, you need help with the work.
1 second, baby. Hold on. We're almost done, okay?
I think the coaches are essential in doing that. And it's sad because a lot of times coaches get pulled in so many directions. And I think that they need clear, defined roles in the school so that they can help the teachers. And helping the teachers in return leads to helping the students, which leads to more an increase in student achievement. So I think that if I was in charge, I would make sure every school has coaches, every grade level, is equipped with the support that they need, because it can't all fall on the teacher.
Right. I agree. And we're supposed to collaborate with each other and this or that, but it gets really hard with all your schedules and everybody's lesson planning. And it's so, you kind of really do need that person who's free of those classroom responsibilities of like grading papers and making their own lessons and doing this and doing that, and can really just go around and be like, all right, we're lesson planning now. And even just 15 minutes, I actually had the opportunity to do that. And it's not like a consistent thing that we do, but we have this writing program, and like a couple times a year, they'll come in and like give us feedback on our lessons, but we have a pre-planning session. So I'll like call her up, and for 15 minutes, I'll just be like, all right, this is my lesson idea. And she really helps me, because like I always try to do too much. I think that's like a common teacher issue. And she's like, she helps scale me back and like really make sure that my objective of the lesson is like super pinpointed. And I don't know, I just wish that that was like a consistent thing. Like every day for 15 minutes, I could just call somebody up and be like, this is my lesson for tomorrow. Like, help me,
Especially for first year, even second year, third year teachers. Like,
I'm in my 4th year. I still want it.
It's overwhelming, and that support really means a lot and helps a lot.
Yeah. Cut out some of the bureaucracy and put some more people on the ground, right? Yes. So as we wrap up here, is there any message that you want to leave us with? And then, of course, let everybody know where they can get those amazing shirts. I don't have mine on right now, but they will have seen it in the intro, and they're going to see it again in the outro of this video. So, just tell us all about that.
So I just want to say, go on Etsy.com and check out my Goalden shop. It's called The Goalden Shop, and it's one word. And remember, Goalden is Goalden. And just check out my merchandise. And I'm working on some new merchandise right now, so there'll be some updates coming soon.
Yes.
So just check that out, and just remember that, your purpose, just keep going after your purpose, and you'll get where you want to be, and don't give up.
Awesome. It's just so important. If you lose track of that purpose, that why, it's disorienting, and it inevitably happens. It happened to me like a month ago. I was just like, wait, why? And I like had to call up my friend, and I'm like, remind me why. And then I was like, oh yeah. So definitely, if anybody out there is having trouble connecting with that purpose, you can reach out to me. I'm sure you can reach out to Dominique, and make sure you get those awesome shirts. Support teachers, man. Small businesses are so important.
They are.
So thank you so much, Dominique, for coming on here, sharing your joy, your beauty, your goals, your love for this. And I know it's going to provide so much value to educators at all points in their career.
Thank you for having me.
What did I tell you? Just such love, such joy emanating from such a beautiful, beautiful person. So thank you so much, Dominique. Again, aka the Goalden Educator. You can find her on Instagram at goalden.educator, and that's Goalden spelled Goal, because we hitting them goals. And you could get a good looking shirt just like me. But I don't know if you could look good as this beautiful face. All right. I know we're going through a tough time right now, guys. It's wearing down on us. I got my little one running around all day, trying to balance that with my schools, but just love on each other, support each other, and stay foolish, y'all.